Hey guys, today looking at a 2016 Dodge Ram 3500 dually. We are installing these air spring kits here. There is quite a few videos on them already online. However, most of those videos do not have the heavy duty air command as well, which controls the pressure from the driver's seat. You have a button here to bring it up and down. Here is the kit laid out on the tailgate, pretty standard. The 2705 is the part number on the Firestone bag kit, and the air command kit is part number 2097 from Firestone. We're going to hop under here and go ahead and show you how to install those. Let's get going. Alright guys, we're here underneath the truck. We're going to start by removing both bump stops on both sides. We have a 16mm socket. I have a 6-inch extension and a 1/2-inch ratchet here. You can use anything you want though. Go ahead and take both those bump stops off and we'll move on. Alright, bump stops removed. Both sides. Going on. Alright, once we have those bump stops off, go ahead and grab your upper bag brackets and your 6mm hex head hardware. As you can see, we have the bump stops off here. We're going to take that first bracket and we're going to thread it in just like that. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Alright guys, next you're going to grab your lower bag mounts. Now it's very important on diesels. The bigger end goes right up on the leaf spring. If you have a gas engine, the smaller end goes right up on the leaf spring on both sides. So this is a diesel. We're going to put on the driver's side this way, on the passenger side that way over there. What you do is you take your bag, flip that over. This is a diesel. We're going to put the big flare out. You're going to take this. It's going to be on the outer hole. Read the instruction manual that comes with the kit. If you forget, you're just going to thread this in a little bit here, not tight because we have to make an alignment mark on this to meet this pin here that needs to be inside of a hole. And I'm going to show you that now. Alright guys, we have our upper mounts installed here, torqued down to about 40 foot-pounds. Next, we still have our bag loose on the lower bracket. Remember to put that bigger flange out if it's a diesel, smaller out to the leaf spring if it's a gas-powered vehicle. Next, you want to line up this dowel pin in the bag there to make sure that's in the right position so we can mark this bag along with the mount so we can tighten that bottom bolt up. So I'm going to grab my tire pin here. Make sure this is lined up properly in the dowel. And then right here on the front, make a mark on your bag and make a mark on your bracket so we can take that back out, tighten up that bolt on the bottom, and have everything aligned properly. If that dowel pin is not in a hole, it will void your warranty. Okay, I made 2 marks on this bag and the bracket. I'm going to make sure I keep those perfectly aligned, and I'm going to turn this back up. And I'm going to tighten this up a little bit before I start snugging. I'm going to make my adjustment to where my marks line up. And then we can go ahead and snug that down. There we go. Okay, after you make your marks, go ahead and dry fit one more time. Keep in mind, when I was talking about diesel or gas here, these flares on the bottom bracket go inside of the U-bolts on the leaf spring. So when you get this thing in there, make sure you get the little flares on the lower bracket inside the U-bolt on the leaf spring, and also confirm that your dowel pin is in the right hole and it will not flex, which we have done. We're in the dowel pin, we're inside the leaf spring, and the U-bolts are going to wrap right on here. Here's Lauren making her marks on the passenger side. She is my business partner and a damn good mechanic. That's nice. All right, so I'm gonna just show you before we put this in what you're supposed to do with the hardware on top. Grab your big nut and your lock washer. That is actually going to lock down on top of, keep in mind, on the passenger side, you're going to have an exhaust heat shield that is going to go in and go right up against the exhaust. So do not forget to put that on the passenger side. However, we're doing the driver's side right now. You're going to grab your lock washer and your big nut, which happens to be a 1 1/8. You're going to put that on the top, and that's going to lock down under that upper bracket. I'm doing this right now outside of the truck just to show you. Once you get that locked down, that's going to lock in the top. Make sure your dowel pin is in the right position. And then this little fitting here is going to thread in. You're going to want to make sure that threads all the way past that red thread tape right there. So you're going to want to thread that all the way in. Then you can direct it whatever way you want it to put your line in. Okay guys, we have our driver's side bag installed. Our dowel pin is in the correct spot. We have our U-bolt in place. We're going to grab our U-bolt lower bracket, a washer, and the, what is it, 14 millimeter, Lauren? 14 millimeter nut. We're going to throw one on the bottom just to get it started. On the top. Okay, on the top we have the large lock washer and nut. We're going to put that washer up there along with the nut. I'm going to snug that up with the 1 1/8 wrench I have, and then we are going to thread that elbow fitting into the top of that, which I showed you not too long ago. Okay, we got our bag installed. I took my 14 millimeter, snugged up the bottom of this U-bolt here. Make sure you snug these evenly. Just watch how much bolt is coming out of the nut and make sure they're even with the washer on there. Up on top, I have my 1 1/8 wrench. Make sure that lock washer with that nut is snug up on top. If you don't have a 1 1/8 wrench, you can probably use a crescent. It seems like there's enough room up there. And then make sure you put in your air valve, getting the threads all the way in past the red tape on the valve right up there in the top, which we'll tighten in, and then we're going to end up pointing wherever we want the air lines to point, which is going to be towards the cab because we are running the air pump inside of the cab. Here on this passenger side, same thing, but do not forget to install the heat shield and then direct it directly towards the exhaust pipe so you do not burn your bag. Alright, when threading these air valves in on the top, be very careful of the fitting here on the end. It's very delicate. Don't get a wrench on that. I used a 1/2-inch wrench, and I also did use a little pair of needle nose vice grips just to turn it around. It's kind of hard to bite on with these brackets on both sides, so there's a couple spots where you can't get a good bite on it, which is why I use the vice grips. Just be very gentle with those. You don't want to damage that. You'll have an air leak at that fitting there. Okay, we called it a night last night. Came out this morning. Last night we got the bags installed, everything tightened down. This morning off camera I decided to go ahead and plumb everything for the compressor pump and the switch, and then give you a walkthrough afterwards. If this was a normal airbag setup without the air command pump or controls, you would usually have these lines running right out the back, like near the license plate. However, the customer wanted the pump in the truck and the controls obviously at the driver's seat as well. So I'm going to walk you through what we did to make that happen for him. Okay, we got our lines running forward here. On the driver's side, there's a nice convenient spot where the e-brake cable is. You can run your lines in. I'm going to have Lauren hop under there and show you guys the routing after this. The customer wanted the compressor in the truck. He thought maybe under there. However, we discovered under this mat here in the back, there's this nice little compartment that we converted into the compressor housing. We have all of our wiring in there, the relay. This electrical is going right up to the box up front, which I'll show you, the air command box. I did have some grommets in the garage here, so I was able to drill these and grommet them. If you don't have grommets, you can always use silicone. That's my power wire, which is running all the way under the cab up to the battery on the front, which does have a fusible link on it. Relays mounted in here, motors in there, and that black line there is the fresh air filter that is routed under the truck and up into a dry place so it can always have fresh air to breathe. That's where the compressor was put in our application. As you can see, this is where our air lines are coming in from under the floor. As well, this is where the customer requested the box be installed so he can control it however he wants, right here from the driver's seat. Electrical under the hood, basically just that one hot wire ran underneath the truck to a fusible link here, hooked to the positive, and that's just routed down along the frame rail to that box. Okay, just a little more detail on this wiring for anybody that's curious. I did mention this is my hot down here at the bottom coming from the battery, which goes right to that relay. Now, this red and orange wire here, this red one is coming off the compressor, is actually hooked to this orange wire. I just have my butt connections all hid up under the carpet, just so it looks nice in this box. Black wire off the compressor is grounded right at the base of this screw under here. And this white wire is one of the two white wires running. I just snuck them out of the air vent there. They run right up to this control box. That's for your buttons. One goes to that. The other white one goes right back to that same ground that I have the compressor grounded to. Now these two hoses are going through a drain plug I removed from the floor, so they can go out the bottom there. And basically just that air line, like I mentioned, out the back for the compressor to breathe fresh air. The air lines themselves, this line is running straight to the control switch, and then another line off that switch is running all the way back to the T, which is directly under here. Up here, kind of hard to see, but it's right up in there. And yeah, that's it for the electrical. Like I said, leave a comment if you have any other questions. I'll be happy to help out. One quick note, if you are going to be running the compressor with the air command, do not follow the instructions and cut your line in half. What will happen is you'll most likely run out of line to get all the way up to the front. What I did was I first determined where I was going to put my T. Once again, put your T as far back as you can. It'll give you more length of line to reach all the way to the front. Cut each section individually, determine where you're going to put your compressor, your switch, and your T before you make any cuts. And like I said, cut each line individually so you don't have any waste. That'll leave you plenty of hose to get all the way to the front and get all your plumbing done properly. Alright, here on the driver's side, as you can see, we have that routed down, kind of the e-brake cable going towards the front. The T is right there. That one is actually wrapping around, going under all the way up to the front in the hole in the floor there. And then there's one coming out that's going into the box. You can see we have the compressor bolted into that box there. On the front we have the hot power wire and the other air line going to the compressor. We have these just kind of zipped up in here. Everything's secure, the power wire going up to the front. And on the passenger side, for the airlines, very similar situation. And we just crossed them over right above the tank here. You can't really see it, but you can see the T there, where the other one's coming from. Just make sure you route your lines away from any kind of exhaust or anything moving parts. You want to make sure you don't get any pinches or kinks. Alright guys, we're all done with the truck. We have our airbags installed. I had them inflated to 30 psi just to leak test everything. It's been sitting for about an hour. Everything is run and plumbed up. The driver has full control at his switch for whatever he'd like to do. Let air out, air up. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, Mechanics Garage, Colby and Lauren.